Okay guys, so there's probably going to be a bit of controversy about my previous video where I called everyone out as being wrong. And I want to clear something up. I was not wrong. What I was stating was complete true, and I'm going to prove it to you. Let me just show you something first. Let me hang on, let me just go like this. So if I go over to a post that I made ages ago, this super Easter egg, cutscene decryption code, the truth, this got removed from Reddit, right? And I understand why it got removed. There was a lot of speculation as to like whether or not the code was right or wrong. There was a big argument going on. The mods had to jump in order to say, you know, look guys, calm the fuck down. I posted this in there for one very good reason, right? And basically what I state here is everything that I stated in the previous video, which is this is where it goes wrong. If you got decrypted A, B, C, etc., what they do is they XOR A and B to get C, and then they XOR B and C to get D, effectively giving us A again, which is why we were getting the shadows of evil every single time, which is why when I used Sherlock Holmes in my previous video, it still gave the shadows of evil. The reason for that is because the original code that we got given was this piece of code here, right? So if I just click on this, this is the code, right? This is the code. So ignore this bit here. This is just the intro bit. The important bit of the code that we're looking at is here, right? This is the bit of the code that I was saying was wrong, and there was a reason for this. We were reading in the two files. We were reading in that file and that file, and we were saving it in decrypted and encrypted. We were getting a key result, which was using the exclusive OR and decrypted and encrypted, and then we were getting the bullshit shadows of evil stuff by using the exclusive OR on the encrypted key result, right? And then we were writing out the file again, and then we were saying that we're done, and this was the function that we were using to make the exclusive OR. This is exactly the same as what I was saying. We get a key result using the decrypt encrypt exclusive OR, which is basically doing A and B make C, and then we were doing the exclusive OR and encrypted key result to get the bullshit shadows of evil, which is again saying that B and C equals D, which is the same as A. Now, I said that this code that we were given, that we were shown, was wrong, right? And I showed that it's wrong because effectively all that will ever give us is shadows of evil every single time because of the way it's done. If you exclusive OR with the other file and then you undo it again, you're going to always get, it's like you do something to encrypt something and then you're decrypting it again. That's effectively what you're doing. So I made a statement in my video, and let me just get this up. I made a statement in my video, and I want you to take note of this. This is why I was saying they were wrong, and it's to do with the key, okay? Let me just make sure that it's loud enough. Hopefully you guys can hear this.
It's pissing me off because nobody's actually calling them out on shit. Nobody is saying, hey guys, you're wrong, this needs fixing. And they're like, I'm not gonna lie, it probably is a key. It most likely is that you take an MPV file that was Shadows of Evil and you do something to it using Genesis to output a different file.
Now that's the key thing there. That is the key thing there. I state that what you need to do is most likely use the Shadows of Evil file along with Genesis to get a possible key file, right? So what I'm stating there is they're both the same length, they're both identical almost, except one's encrypted, one's not. If you use one on the other, you'll probably get something like a key, right? Because what I was stating, and I state this in the video and I state this numerous times, is that, if I just show you, we don't want that one, we want that one, there we go. So, if I show you this, again, like I'm saying, we're using exclusive OR to get a key result, but then we were doing it back using the key result to get the shadows of evil again. What I was stating is this, and I state this in my video somewhere as well, I can't be asked to hunt and find it if you watch the video. I state that this will most likely be what we need. This will be the important information. I even say that maybe if you use that and that, this will produce the decrypted outcome that we need. And it's true. And this is how I know it's true. Mr. Ruffle Waffles posted a video not so long ago, and I watched the video the whole way through, and I just sat there and I went, really? Really? Because from the code that we were given, and looking through this code and running this code, it gives us Shadows of Evil every single time, which is fair enough. But what they're effectively saying now is that you need to do things the same way that I was saying that you need to do things, which is you need a key. And let me just show you this.
Essentially, what we are going to now do is, going back to how we discussed about Zoring, we are going to Zor the encrypted file 1. So this file right here, we're going to store its encrypted version against the decrypted part of it that I took from memory. And that's going to give us what we call a pseudo key.
There you go, guys. So what they're going to do now is they're going to take the encrypted Shadows of Evil, or encrypted file as they're saying, the decrypted one to get a key, which is the Shadows of Evil and the Genesis to get a key. Now, they do go on to say that the key that you get might not be the same key that's used to encrypt all of them. That's going to be something that I'm working on, because I have a very good idea what they've actually done to create the key, because I mean, effectively they could use the same key, and they could use the key that we get from the Shadows of Evil and Genesis if it's big enough, but the key that we get from that is only 134 meg or something along those lines. So with that being the case, it's highly unlikely that any file that's going to be bigger than 134 meg is going to be able to be decrypted, because like I showed in my previous video, where, well, actually I didn't show it in the previous video, I showed it in the one that I privated anyway, because I was trying to show people that I've got decryption working, which I'll show you in a sec actually. What I've shown is that if you're using a key that's 134 meg, you can only decrypt 134 meg, which is why they can only get the first so many bits of data from the audio file, is because they have a key that's only a certain length, and they need to make a key that's any length. And I have an idea that, I'll say it in this video just to put it out there, I have an idea that if we get the key from the Shadows of Evil and Genesis one, we'll be able to find a pattern within inside that key. We can then replicate the pattern. So say for instance, the first 28 bits of the key are something like 010101 all the way through to the 28th bit, and then it repeats 28 bits later, so it could be 011100 for 28 bits, and then 28 bits later it will repeat itself. If we can find a pattern, I mean, it's probably not going to be that simple, it might even be increased by an nth value, but either way, if we can find a pattern, then we can work backwards to find the formula used. And then when we find the formula that's used, we can generate a key that's any length, and then once we get a key that's any length, we can then decrypt any of the encrypted files, including the audio files and anything else that's on there. So that's effectively what's going on. Like, this is the reason I wanted to say they were wrong in the previous video, is because it would always output Shadows of Evil simply because they were using XOR twice to encrypt and decrypt. What they're saying now, and this is probably why everyone got pissed off, is because they were along the same lines that I was, which is the code that we saw was wrong. But now they're saying, well, the code that you saw was just showing that we did XOR or whatever, but now we're working on a key thing. Like, now they're doing it right. Yeah, maybe they were doing it that way in the first place, but that's not how it was explained. And that's why there was so much of an uproar, is because it got explained completely wrong. The code we were shown showed us something completely different to what they were trying to say. So let me just minimize this. Let's see, I'll just, give me one sec, guys. So let me bring up the desktop. Here we go. So you guys can see all my fancy shit. I've created a program. Is this program, right? So you need following 4 files. You don't need 4 files. You need at least 3, I'd say. These 2 and one that you're going to either encrypt or decrypt, or you can do both. But effectively what we're going to do is we're going to use the Genesis and the Shadows of Evil file to get a key, and then we're going to encrypt Sherlock with the key and then decrypt it with the same key. And you'll see what I mean, because Sherlock is bigger than Genesis and Shadows of Evil. So loading decrypted core, creating a pseudo key. Okay, so what this has effectively done is it's XORed the two files, the Genesis and the loading file, to give us our pseudo key. So we're going to encode and then we're going to decode afterwards. So what's the name that we want to encrypt? Sherlock. .mkv. Let me just turn my volume down for now. Right, so just to prove to you guys that this works. Okay, there is the Sherlock video. This is the one I've been using in all the things. It works, that's Sherlock, yeah? But we're now going to encrypt. So we're loading the file into memory, we're encrypting it, and then we're saving the encrypted file. There you go, it's done. And as you'll see, this encrypted file is the same as Genesis and the loading movie, even though Sherlock's longer. And if we try and play this, it's not going to play. It just doesn't recognize what it is. That's because it's encrypted, so it's clearly not a proper MKV file. But now we're going to decrypt it. Oh wait, it's filing it. So now what we're going to use is the pseudo key that we got from Genesis and Shadows of Evil to decrypt this encrypted file. Done. Okay, so we can close this now. So now what we've got is we've got the original file, we've got the encrypted version and the decrypted version. As you can probably see from the icon here, if we load up the decrypted version, it actually works. But here's the thing, it's smaller. And the reason it's smaller is because we can only encrypt up to a certain amount of data. So if I actually fast forward to, I believe it's 32, 37, so it's around about 43, I believe this will do what I want it to do. So we're playing it, 41, 42, 43, and it stops, and it dies. And there's a reason for that. Like they were saying in their video, the header file, which contains all the information, is at the beginning of the file. That bit got encrypted. So when it got decrypted, it knows that it should be 55 minutes long. The only issue is, it didn't get to encrypt the end of the file, so it's actually cut it short, which is why the video ends. And just to prove that the video does go on, 36, 42, it does go on. So that's the thing, we need either a big enough encrypted and decrypted file to decrypt everything, or we need to figure out what the key is. So, like I say, this isn't a massive hate video or anything like that, but they were wrong in the information that they gave us, or at least in the way that they displayed it. And because of that, nobody understood what they were on about, and they all, well, not they all, but a lot of people saw that the program was doing exactly what the program did, which was encrypted it, decrypted it, and would always give us shadows no matter what file we used, whether we used Genesis, or Sherlock Holmes, or SpongeBob, or in the case of another UK gamer, porn. So, that's the thing, we now need the key, and it's possible we can get the key from these two files here. I will be working on that. I know a lot of other people are working on that as well. Once we have the key, we can then decrypt any sized file that Treyarch have encrypted, meaning we can get every single audio quote. I believe there's another MKV file that's also encrypted. I don't have these at the moment. I've been trying to ask people if I can have a copy of them, like the encrypted files. However, I've not been able to get hold of somebody that can get me the files at the moment, mainly because of time zone differences and things like that. So if anybody wants to drop me a message with the encrypted files, that would be perfectly, that would be awesome. That way I can start working on decrypting them and creating a key and things. But this is where it stands now, guys. Like, we have a program that can decrypt, we have a program that can create a pseudo key, and we have a program that can encrypt the exact same way that Treyarch has done. We just need the key. And I think this is the same stage that everybody is at right now. It's just the previous information that we were given was explained terribly. The code that we were given didn't say anything about they were using a key to decrypt. It just said, oh, we used XOR and it's Shadows of Evil. And it was like, explain. Like, as far as we're concerned, like, we have two files that are identical, and you're just saying it's Shadows of Evil. You're not explaining how or why. And Ruffles has done that now, and thank you, Ruffles. Like, you've made a lot more sense. of the whole thing, because it was a catastrophe the way it was explained in the first place. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video now. Like I say, if anybody has those files and they want to send them over to me, just drop me a message and I'll quite happily look at them. I'm going to be working on this program for quite some time because I've got nothing to do at the moment other than program for uni, and that's too easy, so this is a nice actual challenge for a change. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm sorry if the other video was confusing. Explaining code is very difficult. I'm sorry if this one is as well. Like, just generally explaining code is very difficult, especially to non-technical minded people. Hopefully everybody understands it now. Hopefully people understand what's going on from Ruffles' video as well as from this video, and hopefully I've cleared up why I was saying everyone was wrong in the previous video, because they weren't necessarily wrong in the sense of what they were doing, but they were wrong in the sense of what they explained they were doing. So anyway, I'm going to leave this video now, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.